Hey, what's up you guys? Bonesmith here. So today we're going to talk about paints. This video is mainly aimed towards beginners because I know there's a bunch of different products and techniques involved in painting. But the stuff that I'm going to show you now is actually stuff that you can buy very easily or find very easily, and usually very cheap compared to other stuff. And let's get right to it. Let's start off with wood glue. Now, wood glue is very good for beginners, especially if you're on a low budget, because it's like $2, but it's really good for beginners. Now, this you do have to brush on, which would be the downside to it. You will get brush strokes. Something else is that, unlike the next product I'm going to show you guys, if you use this on foam and it wrinkles up, you can't really use a heat gun on it because it's going to bubble up and it's going to ruin everything. So, moving on to the next one would be plaster. Now, plaster dip, if it gets wrinkled up, you can heat it up with a heat gun and it's going to get rid of the wrinkles. The downside to plaster dip, honestly, is that it's $7 to $10 a can compared to $2 a bottle. So, yeah, it's a lot more expensive, but it's a lot easier to use. You can cover larger areas and it's going to look a lot cleaner. You're not going to get any brush strokes on it. So once you seal your foam, the reason you need to seal your foam is because foam is basically a sponge. If you don't seal it, any paint that you add on to it, it's going to absorb it. So you might be able to get away with painting it without sealing it, but you're going to spend a lot more money on paint because you're going to need a lot more paint to cover the foam. And even then, in about 2 months, it's going to be barely visible. You're going to have your foam gray again or black, whichever color you used. So what I would do after sealing it is I would add a base coat. Depending on the look that you want, you decide if you need a satin base coat or a high gloss base coat. I would not use matte because honestly, matte spray paints, if you're going to use spray paints as a primer, matte tends to like dust up and not stick very well to foam. Usually I like to use high gloss black spray paint as a primer, mostly because most of the stuff that I do is very metallic. So if you're going to make something metallic, you need a black base coat. That's it, not silver, not gray, black. You need a black base coat and it has to be gloss. If you go for matte, which I already said not to use, or satin, which is the next best thing to matte, it's not going to look very shiny. If you want something to look old, I would suggest the satin. So yeah, use this, and once you spray your prop with this, you have it nice and coated just the way you want it. Then there's 2 ways to apply the next paint, which would be the actual color of your props, and I would use acrylic. Now this is a royal gold metallic acrylic paint from Full Cart, and there's 2 ways to apply this, and I would honestly suggest this one for beginners. Like, this is dry brushing. Now the way you dry brush is you're going to tap the paint very lightly with the paintbrush, and then you're going to tap the paintbrush onto a napkin, and then you're going to lightly stroke the paintbrush over your prop. Very lightly, and you're going to keep going back and forth until you get your prop fully covered. Now, this is good for old metallic armor or swords or anything kind of medievalish where you want to look old and used and scratched up. Kind of like this mask where it's supposed to look all beat up. Because you don't get an even coat on an entire prop. You get different textures, different stroke directions, different, like it might be a little more gold on one side and a little darker in the middle, and then a little like medium on the other side. And then when you're going back and forth, you get different shades on your prop. For example, like this mask. See? Now, the next way that you can apply the acrylic paint onto your prop would be with an airbrush. Now you need to dilute it in water so it doesn't clog your airbrush. I will make a separate video on that later. I might have one of my friends that are expert paint airbrush artists as a guest, if he says yes. But yeah, use an airbrush, dilute it in water, and then, you know, light coats one after the other. You need to apply the paint on lightly. too much paint, especially if it's metal, too much paint will make it look fake. So the less paint you have at first and then you slowly add on, the better it looks. And I painted this with an airbrush. As you can see, it looks a lot cleaner, a lot shinier, and it doesn't look all beat up compared to I'm sorry, I almost knocked down my microphone. Compared to the dry brush technique. So this is dry brush, and this is airbrush. See the difference? That would be basically it. You could get away with, instead of using an airbrush, that you do the light coats with the spray paint. Spray paint, it tends to not look as good as acrylic colors, but you can try it as well if you want. It depends on your budget as well. Not everyone has the budget to get an airbrush, and not everyone wants an old beat up prop. So if you can get away and try practicing with spray paint, then by all means do it. Now, I hope this video helped. I hope you liked it. If you have any ideas or stuff that you would like me to explain in other videos and future videos, make sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you would like me to talk about. And yeah, so another thing is, I'm gonna have all this stuff on my Amazon storefront, so you can go check it out on my bio. If this is on Instagram, if you're seeing this on Instagram, my link will be in the bio. If you're seeing this on YouTube, my link will be down in the description. And honestly, it really helps me out. Even if you don't buy anything from my storefront, just go to Amazon through my link if you're gonna buy anything else, and it's gonna help me out anyway. So I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for watching. I hope this video got you guys crafting. So until next time, peace out.